and Yair Rodriguez. Congratulations, they all won $50,000. Congrats, all right. Who has the first question? Kevin?
First of all, can you fill us in on what's going on with Jones? Was he in a wheelchair or something?
Yeah, well, you know, I don't know exactly what's wrong, but I just think he was a little sore and busted up, so they rolled him back. But I don't know if he's hurt or anything. But OSP had a broken arm in the 4th and 5th round.
What do you make of Jon's performance? I mean, certainly, you know, you got the two best pound-for-pound fighters in the world going, and Demetrious makes a statement, and Jon comes out and, you know, certainly did not look like Jon has looked in the past. What did you make of that performance?
Yeah, I think that, you know, listen, you guys have heard me say it a million times. I'm a big believer in ring rust, and he's been off for 15 months. He fought the number 6 guy in the world who is tough and obviously has a good chin and put on a good performance tonight. But, you know, did Jon look like a world beater? Did he look like the Jon Jones, who many say is possibly the greatest ever? No, but he won tonight. You know, he went out and fought 5 hard rounds against a guy who didn't want to get out of there.
Do you put him and Cormier then in the main event on 200? Assuming Daniel passes on Monday?
When Daniel what? Passes on Monday? Yeah, I don't know. We'll still, you know, obviously we're working on that still, and we'll figure out what's next.
And I want to ask Demetrious, but first you. I mean, what about his performance? I mean, going up against an Olympic gold medalist, an undefeated fighter, and to just, you know, win that fight the way he won is pretty amazing.
Ridiculous. He, you know, the guy, you know, Rogan's been screaming for a long time for him to be the pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world. And, you know, tonight he went out and just, you know, if you don't agree with it now, I don't even know what to tell you anymore. He continues to evolve when you think that there's nothing left, you know, to learn for the guy. If you give him this much space, he will hit you and he will hurt you and he will continue. The way that he keeps moving and landing and scoring and hurting, and he's unbelievable. Incredible.
I mentioned this in my early story about Demetrious, and I said, you know, I thought the only fight you can make would be with Dominic Cruz, assuming Cruz wins. I mean, would that be something, if Dominic comes out of that fight, that you would consider Demetrious and Dominic because of how dominant he's been, and they both have been, really?
We'll see. Obviously, you know, something needs to be done with this guy because he's beat everybody in that top 10, some of them more than once. We're working on that.
Demetrious, I wanted to ask you, I mean, obviously you've been stepping your game up every time out. I know you talked the other day about that. Like, how do you feel, you know, you are now in terms of, do you feel like you're at your peak, or do you still think you have room to get better?
Yeah, I don't believe I'm at my peak yet. I believe I'm still getting better. I went through a lot of stuff in this camp. You know, I got a root canal. I thought I had a stomach ulcer, did testing. But, you know, my coaches are always pushing me to become a better martial artist. You know, hopefully when I get back to the gym, I can get my blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and keep on chugging along. You know, like I said, this is just number 8. When it's time for number 9, you know, be humble in defeat or victory and get after it.
Would a fight with Cruz be something that you would be interested in? I mean, obviously he's been a phenomenal champion and he has that win over you.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I've never shied away from that fight from Cruz. I just want to make sure, you know, my biggest goal right now is to break that title defense of Anderson Silva, and I believe I can do it. So for me to go off and detour on a different route, it's going to have to, you know, really make me want to do it. So, I mean, I fought at 135 before. I'm a small guy, and yeah, I'm not afraid for that fight.
I know how much you want to pay me, Dana.
Woo-wee!
Hey, he's showing up to fight, right? Come on.
Yep.
Hey, you know what? I might not, you know, talk a lot, but I damn sure you guys can believe, like, when I step in the octagon, I'm going to go 110%. I'm going to give everything I have. This is how I pay my bills. This is how I provide for my family. And so.
When you first got the belt, I mean, you had a string of decisions that you had, and you know, you were getting criticized for that, and oh, Demetrious is boring, and I know it kind of had a rub at you the wrong way somehow. Now you're starting to finish a lot of fights. I mean, what changed that you've gone from, you know, pulling off decisions to where you're now winning by finish against some elite fighters?
More mat time. You know, I had a very long amateur career, and once I became a professional mixed martial artist, I got thrown right into the wolves. And just me trusting my skill set, trusting my coaching. I've always trusted my coaching, but just getting in there, sparring with Matt, Brad, and then just going out there, like, dude, 2 things are going to happen. I'm either going to win or lose. No pressure. Just go out there and fight and have fun. And my coaches, they're very good about, like, dude, just get in there, test your range, test your distance, and then you make the call. And Matt's a big believer that when he's in the corner, he shouldn't have to say anything. Matt should just sit there and be like, good job, we won, woo! So that's how it should be.
And Henry, if I can ask you, did you feel like you made a mistake, or was that a case of Demetrious was just so good the finish of the fight?
Yeah, honestly, I felt like that was part of our game plan as a camp. I really did believe I was going to dominate the clinch. Coming from a wrestling background, I felt really strong. It was that first knee that he hit me with. I think he said it during the interview, too. He heard me grunt. And I took him down. I could have held him out a little longer, but I was still trying to catch my breath. And it was that one knee that really did it. And at that time, when you get hit to the body, you don't even worry about your face no more. So I just started kind of protecting my body, like hanging my head down. And he did a good job. He attacked my body. I underestimated his clinch, and he hit me to the body on both sides. And I think he did a good job, man. I underestimated his clinch. I really thought the plan was to take him there, and then slowly wrestle him. But that knee was a difference, and then he just beat me up with knees, and that was the biggest thing.
Dana, you guys had announced that the next version of The Ultimate Fighter would feature flyweights and that the winner would get a shot at Demetrious. Then the tryouts were canceled. Can you update us what's going on? I mean, in light of this guy, destroying number 2 in the world, can an Ultimate Fighter winner challenge him? Is that still the plan? What's going on with that?
We're working on that. We're trying to. So, when we were doing the tryouts, we were going to see what was out there. You know what I mean? Because the big question is, who in the world can beat Demetrious Johnson? I mean, that's the question. So we're working on it.
Still think it'll be flyweights at this point?
We'll see.
Okay. And Demetrious, you've made it very clear you're going after Anderson Silva's record. But what is the motivation? This was the last guy I think that people were really saying, we got to see this fight. This is the guy that's going to give him trouble. You've beaten pretty much everybody else in the rankings. What's motivation like for you? Is it difficult to get up for these fights when maybe another rematch, something down the line?
No, when I truly say this is how I pay my bills, I take that very seriously. I don't care if it's Henry Cejudo for the second time or Joseph third, Dodson third. That's just how I pay my bills, and I take it very seriously. So I don't need any motivation to fight a brand new person or anything. Last time I checked, these bills pay the electricity bill, so I want to keep the lights on.
Thanks, Demetrious. If I could, for Yair, please, this was a huge opportunity for you tonight, delivered in spectacular fashion. How are you feeling right now, and just what did you think of your performance?
My body feels pretty good. I knew the guy was coming after me. I know he was pretty aggressive, and I was waiting for him. And I just take that shot.
It seems like there's going to be another event in Mexico. I believe maybe in November is what we're hearing. That's kind of a ways off, but it seems like a spot that you could possibly headline. Would you want to wait for the opportunity if you could maybe be a main event in Mexico, or are you hoping to fight sooner than that?
I don't know what Dana has to say about that, and Sean Shelby. I just want to wait until they told me something, and then let's figure out after that.
Thanks. And then just quickly, if I could, for Rob, kind of a similar question. A great performance for you tonight. I know there's some things that you would like to change, but overall, how'd you feel? And would you like to potentially headline, back in your region, or are you kind of happy, being out on a different part of the globe?
No, I'd definitely be happy to headline, a card in my hometown. It's a dream of mine, It's always been an aspiration. But, I felt really good tonight. I had a game plan. My coaching staff gave me a solid game plan. And Natal's a tough dude. Just stuck to the game plan and come away with the win. It was, what more can you ask for?
Question for Barbosa. I'm going to ask in Portuguese. Queria que você falasse um pouquinho como é que foi a luta, se você imaginou que você conseguiria ter uma vitória tão dominante e como é que você sentiu o Pettis lá dentro.
Em português também, né? Então, foi exatamente assim que eu tinha imaginado. Dominar a luta o tempo inteiro e dar o meu melhor lá. Isso era o objetivo e, graças a Deus, eu consegui fazer.
Okay, I asked him about.
Go ahead. You can translate for you.
I asked him about how did he feel inside the cage with Pettis, and if his game plan was go there and stay in front of him on his face all the time. He said that was his game plan, and he didn't imagine dominating him like he did, but it was his plan to do it, so he did.
Question, Rob. Rob, just follow up from what you were saying a minute ago. You originally booked to meet Michael Bisping at UFC 193. Is that a fight that still kind of appeals to you?
If you're a middleweight, then you're on my list. I'm happy to fight anyone. There's no particular person I want to fight next. UFC have had no problems matching me up with good fights before, and I'll leave it to them. They've been doing great work. They line them up, I knock them down.
Thanks. Henry. Henry, over here. Reflecting on things now, do you think the title shot came too soon? Would you have liked a few more fights before the fight you got this evening?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Would you have liked a few more fights before getting the title shot?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, he dominated in that certain area. I felt good, like my recovery. I've never felt this good. It's just that it takes, if you guys have ever fought, you guys get hit. It hit to the body, man. It paralyzes you. And, man, it's a humbling experience for me. Like, I was humbled tonight. And the only thing I can do is just go back and, maybe I should take my time a little bit. You know, this dude is, I'm actually curious to see him fight at 135. I want to see how good he really is, you know. He proved it tonight. I'm humbled. And I'd like to see him fight at 135 for the championship. I think I want to see how good Demetrious Johnson is, or how far he could take it.
And what about yourself at 135? I know you fought there before, and the weight cut isn't easy for you, is it?
Yeah, no, the weight cut was amazing this time. Like I said, I felt good, no excuses. Yeah, absolutely. In the future, I would like to go up. I really would. But man, I'd like to at least win the belt before I start thinking about going to 35.
A question for Edson Barbosa. Edson, stylistically, going into this fight, this was a very intriguing matchup between you and Anthony Pettis. How did the matchup feel for you in terms of, not only his style, but your style and how those styles matched up?
Yeah, I'm very happy with my performance. That's I try put all the time, go there, give my best. I don't do the game plan. My game plan is go there and give my best, do everything I do in the gym. And I'm very happy, man. He's definitely one of the best in the world. He's number 3 in the rank. I think this win put me very close to the title shot soon. And now I feel now it's my time. Now I'm ready to get the belt, for sure.
And a question for Sergio Pettis. Sergio, mixed results tonight for the Pettis brothers, but congratulations on your win. Now, I know Anthony had said, and he's not here, but he had said that it was nerve-wracking when the two of you fought on the same card together. So I wanted to ask you from your standpoint, having done it again tonight, did it seem like any type of distraction for you guys, or was it easier this time around than it had been in the past?
I think it was a lot easier this time, just because we had such a great outcome the first time. So, we just had to go together, talk, and realize that, we have two separate careers. He had to take control of his reality, and I had to take control of my reality. And so, that's what we really focused on. I mean, obviously it sucks to see your brother lose, but, we've dealt with harder losses, so he'll be back.
Question for Demetrious Johnson. DJ, a lot of people who are smart people acknowledge you as maybe the best pound-for-pound fighter and one of the greatest ever in your division. It would probably be great if everybody would acknowledge that. But is there a certain badge of honor to you that the people who do point that out are so adamant and vigilant about singing your praises and making sure that you're staying at the top of the conversation?
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm happy that people see me as the best pound fighter in the world. But for me, it's just another title. I'm more focused on getting better in the gym, keep on completing my craft, and keep on evolving as a fighter.
And lastly, for Yair Rodriguez, if I could, your very flashy style with the kicks makes you a really singular talent in the UFC. I mean, to see a flying head kick walk-off knockout like we did tonight is probably going to put you in some highlight reels. As you move forward with your career, because that style can certainly have risks, do your coaches talk to you at all about trying to temper that, in the interest of the stakes getting higher, or are they just letting you be you?
It's a funny question because they always told me that since my first fight. But I mean, it's the way that I fight. Like I say in another interviews, it's just the Yair Rodriguez style. I cannot do another stuff because it's the way that I fight. It's the way that I used to fight since I'm a kid. Of course, I try to practice more on my basics, my basic stuff, my basic boxing. I know my boxing is not pretty good, it's not that good yet. I'm getting on it, and I work every day to be like you said, like less flashy. But for now, I want to try to be the same Yair Rodriguez as always.
Thanks.
Another question for Yair over here to your left. Congratulations. Early on in your career, it seemed like you had a very strong relationship with Israel Martinez, but recently it seems like you're working with him less. Can you clear up why you decided to go in that direction, especially before this fight?
Yeah, I'm not working with him less. I'm not working with him anymore.
Okay.
We're still friends. We have a great relationship. I used to live with him, if you remember that.
Yep.
I used to try to move forward, look for other new things. I think his style is like just wrestling, and he's pretty good. I have my basics in wrestling, and I'm looking for something who's not like that, like strength on my body, because I'm a skinny guy. I'm not that is strong. So now I'm working with Mark Perry, and we use like more leverage takedowns, using my opponent's weight against him and stuff like that. That's why I just change.
Okay. And at the weigh-ins, and even tonight, and even when the fans were leaving the arena, you seem to get the biggest reaction. People are chanting Pantera, a lot of fans here supporting you, a lot of Mexican flags. I'm wondering if you heard any of that, and if you were surprised that here in Las Vegas you were one of the biggest stars.
I mean, to be honest, I wasn't surprised, because I knew that a lot of Mexican people lives here, around here. California is pretty close, Nevada. I mean, a lot of friends and family came here to see my fight, to watch my fight. And I knew that a lot of Mexican people will be here, because not just because of me, because a lot of Mexicans were fighting this same card as me. And I was pretty happy, actually. That motivated me.
And just a question for Edson. Congratulations as well. Historically, throughout your career, you've won fights, and then you get to the big fight, and something bad happens. This time, you got over the hump. What was difference? What was the difference in this fight for you?
I think the big difference, I put everything I put in the train, I put on the cage. Because sometimes I do training very well, my last couple camps, doing well in the gym, but when I fight, something, I don't know what's going on. But right now, you guys see, I think I do exactly we're doing the training on the cage. And I know, man, I know I don't give my best yet. I don't give my best yet. My coach knows, everybody knows, the guys knows me. And that's was back to the gym Monday, work hard for getting better and better.
Dave, a question for you about Conor. I'm just joking. I guess it's a joke.
What we're going to do is let these gentlemen go, and then in a few minutes, Jon Jones will join us here. So, gentlemen, you're free to go. Congratulations.
Bye-bye now.
Oh, look at you.
Who's going? You, me. Me, then you. Okay. You, and then me. Okay. If it was Morgan, I would, but with Damon having it, I just. By the way, Kev, when that song was playing earlier, Black and Yellow, I was expecting you to get up and start like. Steelers on, baby. I was getting a lot of tweets about the Penguins tonight, so I was just having fun about that. I'm supposed to go home and watch GTG, but I may watch the Penguins Rangers. He won by knockout, didn't he? Again? Second round. Chocolate Tito had a go to difference.
All right. You guys suck. I can't get a slow clap. Nothing. How are you guys?
First question. Go ahead,
Jon, congratulations, of course, on the win. I know you were, pretty critical of your performance in the cage. A few minutes had passed. Do you feel any differently, or are you still?
Yeah, I feel a lot differently. I'm my own biggest critic, and out there, I was seeing all types of openings, and I just wasn't pulling the trigger on a good 50, 60% of them. I was just going for the real easy ones, like a side kick. That was like so open, and it was out of his punching range. But boxing wise and stuff, something inside of me was like, don't get caught with a big hand. Play it smart, and just way too hesitant in there. So yeah. I don't know. I'm grateful for a lot, but I'm still a little disappointed. Just know there's a much higher level inside of me. I'm not wanting to just fight last-minute opponents like that, and I switched up to a big old heavy hitting southpaw, and I was so primed for Daniel Cormier. So I'm not going to be too disappointed because I believe that I'm going to move and groove when I actually face this style that I've been thinking about for 7 months.
After the fight's over, I'm sure you probably saw DC. He was kind of wishing he was in there. Maybe you weren't on your best night. Do you believe it was ring rust, not your best night, or do you believe it was the switch of opponents that made the big difference in what your performance was tonight?
I think it was. I think it was more the switch of opponents. Yeah, if you've been following my career, you know how big I am to studying. I'm huge into studying. Me and my team, that's what we do. It's why I'm so confident. It's going into my fights is because I know what I'm getting into. And, tonight, Ovens just threw a completely different, it was just a completely different thing than what I had prepared for. So I'm going to say it was more the switch of opponents than ring rust. As far as ring rust, I was attacking and not as much as I had liked, and my cardio was great, no butterflies, no being nervous, walking out, I was loving it, feeling the moment, felt present in the octagon, but just hesitant to attack, and it was ring rust. Not ring rust, it was a switch of opponent.
I know they said something about after the fight you were in a wheelchair or something, but you walked up there
Yeah.
and you looked perfectly fine. How are you health-wise? And, everyone's going to ask you the question.
Right.
Do you feel good enough that you could fight at UFC 200?
I feel great enough to fight at UFC 200, for sure. Right away, my shins were swollen. My left shin was swollen. My left foot was swollen. And when my adrenaline came down, I felt some serious pain. So I just got in the wheelchair, made it easier for myself. But once I got a shoe on my foot, everything's a little more compressed now, and I'm walking around pretty close to fine. So I know by Wednesday I'll be totally fine, back in the gym, getting ready for Daniel Cormier.
And last question. I know it was killing you to not fight DC. I noticed on your way out of the octagon, you gave him you told him he was number one. So, does it just start up again right now? Do you already kind of have that fuel in your body that you just want to start, getting ready for Daniel Cormier?
Yeah, you know what? I gave Daniel the finger leaving the octagon. It felt great to do. It creates buzz. It gets people ready for the fight. It's like, okay, me and DC don't like each other. He's been in my sights this whole time. We had a minor bump in the road. We had to take a little detour, and now it's back to this beef with DC. So it wasn't. There was not too many emotions involved with me doing it. It was more for fun. It was more to get a reaction from the fans and restart this storyline between me and DC.
I was going to ask you a little bit about that because the other day you were praising him and you were happy for him that he won the title. And when I asked you, why don't you like him, you said, Well, because you don't like me.
Right.
But you said a lot of praiseworthy things about him. So
Yeah.
now you got to take that back and sort of start snarling at him again.
Yeah. You know, it's like I said what I said and I meant what I said. But at the end of the day, you know, it's exciting when you fight someone that you don't like and they don't like you. You know, you want to keep that going. And so I just wanted to give him the finger just to keep it going, just to, you know, get under his skin and keep the fans excited.
So, about a year ago, you were stripped of that belt. So
Yeah.
now you're back and you don't want the interim belt, but you might have been stripped of something else tonight. You know, a lot of people are saying Demetrious Johnson is the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world now. And I wonder, I don't know if you looked at his performance, but, if you look at him, and do you feel like he has a case for it, given how many fights in a row he's won and how he looked tonight compared to how you looked tonight?
You know what? Demetrious Johnson, man, he is a tremendous athlete. He's a tremendous athlete. And, I really don't compare myself to other fighters. I don't compare myself financially. I don't care, star power, none of this stuff. I feel like I'm famous enough. And, that's always going to be an argument to debate. I've beat like 8 or 9 former world champions. That's something that no one's ever done in the sport. So like I'm really confident in who I am and what I've accomplished, and I think there's room for many people to be stars. Some people may look up to me and find motivation in me for this reason, and then they'll look up to Demetrious for this reason, and they'll look up to Conor for this reason, and they'll look. We're all stars, and someone else's star declining doesn't make my star climb any higher. There's enough room in the sky for many people to be admired and respected. So, whether people find me as the greatest ever, that's their opinion. And whether people find Demetrious, it's always going to be a debatable topic. But I'll tell you this, I'll make it really clear. I don't mind sharing that debate with a guy like Demetrious Johnson. He's unbelievable.
Let's ask you one thing. I looked up the other day, and it's kind of amazing to see, but of the 10 UFC champions, since you do have a title in front of you, you are the 3rd youngest champion.
The 3rd youngest champion?
Youngest. Conor is younger than you are, and Joanna is younger than you by a month. So everybody else is older than you are. And so I wonder, even though like some people think, well, maybe John's hit his peak and everything, you're still a young dude, relatively speaking. Do you feel like you're ascending in terms of your skills, and that can you be better than you were when you beat Shogun or when you beat Rampage, and et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, I honestly do not feel as if I've hit my peak. I just hired a new jiu-jitsu coach to complement Greg Jackson's Gaito Jitsu, Roberto Tusa from Gracie Baja, unbelievable jiu-jitsu coach. I felt so comfortable on the ground tonight, even though I couldn't get a submission. I just felt really comfortable on the ground. New strength and conditioning coaches. There's just there's a much higher level inside of me, and I'm going to display it in my next fight.
And my last question for you is, so you said you didn't want the belt. Do you want it now, and why did you say what you said in the octagon? Just out of curiosity, like, was it sort of in the heat of the moment, or do you feel like that was...
This interim belt?
The interim belt.
Yeah, it's cool and all. It's nice and shiny. But, I look at myself as a true champion, and I lost the belt. And I'm on a journey to get it back. So... this belt here, it makes me feel good. I took some pictures with it and everything, but, there's no real satisfaction. There's no real, like, touchdown moment. Like, yeah, we made it, guys. No. Me and my coaches, my teammates, we're right back to the drawing board. We're still on a mission. And this thing it's kind of made up. It's kind of fake.
I know you said that you felt disappointed that you kind of missed some openings and things like that, but I am curious, how much of like patience and drawing it out was part of the game plan? Because I think some people were thinking maybe you kind of came in wanting to get some time in the cage underneath you, kind of wanting to work some time out.
Right.
So, was there a plan to kind of be patient, not attack right from the beginning?
One thing I noticed about this fight was I had this level of relaxation in there where I was just living in the moment and just enjoying it. It was like, okay, I'm winning every round. Yeah, I'm getting booed for the first time, but I'm still winning. And, you know, Ovens is a heavy hitter. You know, he has this huge knockout power. And I'm like, dude, I can't lose to a guy like Ovens, you know, trying to do too much. So a part of me, this may sound funny, I don't know, a part of me was just like, you got to fight DC, Jon. You got to fight DC. Like, do what you got to do to win this fight. You know, the goal is to get back to DC. Whether you look like crap right now or not, you know, the goal is to get back to DC. So I'm not making any excuses, but that was definitely in my psychology. It's just like, all right, you know, do what you got to do to win each round. Finish if you can, but don't miss out on the opportunity to fight DC. Getting in there and haymaking with a guy who has this freakish knockout power, and a guy who gets these knockouts from these really weird and unpredictable angles. So yeah.
And you mentioned the boos. It definitely wasn't obviously your most exciting fight, but how much of that do you put on OSP? Because it did seem like there came a point where it just seemed like he was happy to be in there and surviving with you.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. At one moment, when I was hearing the boos, I realized, look, I'm chasing this guy. Like, I was chasing him, and he was just circling and backing up. So I was like, all right, maybe these boos aren't for me, you know. But, you know, I like to give exciting fights, and I felt as if I put my best foot forward, and, you know, obviously I could do more, and I'm hoping that the majority of the boos were for Ovens. I think the fans are just used to me doing, you know, giving them real cool, exciting stuff, and they saw a more hesitant version of me versus a guy who was backing up a lot.
And you've been very open and honest all week in assessing your performance right now. Honestly, as you're sitting there, how do you think this version of Jon Jones would have done against Daniel Cormier tonight?
I would have beat him up pretty good because I am tuned up to be fighting Daniel Cormier. You know, all my techniques, the angles, my ideas. You know, I've been working for Daniel Cormier for 7 months, over 7 months, and you know, it's like you put the Patriots. You know, or I'm not even gonna make a football analogy. I've been training for one fighter, and they threw me this taller, power punching, or switching stances. You know, it wasn't what I was prepared for. So I believe I can beat Daniel Cormier right now, for sure, and I'm gonna prove that as soon as possible.
Jon, here to your left. Obviously, Ovens had some decent takedown defense in the center of the cage, but as it got to the fence, you took him down with relative ease, but that wasn't really until the 4th round. Did you not really want to go that route? Were you choosing to strike rather than taking an approach where you had a really dominant advantage?
Yeah, I just felt content on the feet. I felt like things were going well and I was winning, and I just thought to myself, you know, I just didn't want to shoot out in the open. You know, the shot against the cage was relatively easy. He was a tall guy, and so I just took the safer shots, easier shots.
In the last 15 months, I'm curious if you can speak to it from a technical perspective. You're in your prime, you didn't fight, so you lost out on the ability to stay regular with your competition schedule, but you had nothing else to do but just get better. So I'm wondering now, looking back on the last 15 months, can you tell us, from your judgment, whether it was reflected tonight or not, do you feel like you got significantly better, or how would you assess it?
I feel like I've gotten a lot better. I think you guys will see that when I fight DC. Like I keep saying, I have been working so hard to beat DC, you know, and you guys will see that. You'll see that. You'll see, okay, here's Jon. Everything is opening. You know, I feel like I'm gonna pick DC apart. I feel like I'm ready to out wrestle him. I feel like I'm gonna beat him up really, really bad. Like I said, this change of opponent really threw me off my game. Yes, I've gotten a lot better. All right, if you guys are done.
I got one more.
All right.
If there was any aspect of ring rust that you felt, was it the reaction that your body had? You talked about the swollen shins, etc., or was there something different that you said, hey, this is different. I haven't felt it since the last time I stepped in the octagon?
No, honestly, I don't really think I felt too much ring rust. Maybe there was a very slight amount of ring rust in there. you know, I really just think I played it cautious. You know, I took a gamble for my fans to fight Ovin St. Preux last minute, a southpaw knockout artist, and somewhere in my subconscious, I thought to myself, if I somehow get clipped by this guy who has nothing to lose, I'm going to be really disappointed. So I was satisfied winning the fight, no matter how ugly the fight was. And, you know, as far as my shins, I think I broke his arm with a kick. So, you know, we were clashing bones real hard, and a few times, I can't even talk straight. It's like I've been punched in the head or something. A few times my foot, you know, collided with his forearms and elbows and stuff like that. So very, very typical, you know, standard injuries for a guy who kicks a lot. I am going to be icing up tonight, and I'll be back at practice this week, ready to continue this game plan.
Go, we'll take you. You'll be the last one.
And Jon, one final question, just touching on what you just said. You mentioned taking that replacement opponent. You stepped to the plate. You handled business. Does this kind of give you a little bit of personal redemption and put those ghosts of the whole Chael Sonnen thing away?
Thanks for asking that question. Great question.
Put to rest.
Absolutely. It kind of it makes us even. It's like, okay, Jon Jones ruined the day. I meet fans to this day who are like, dude, I saved my money. I had my flight. I had my ticket. Yeah, I made a lot of sacrifices to see you for the first time, and you know, the people are like really pissed off with me sometimes about that. And I've always felt like, okay, I stayed true to myself and my coaching staff because that's just not what we do. But then I've always felt a certain amount of guilt for the people who sacrificed and missed out. So fighting this time really made me feel like, you know, I saved the day for a lot of my fans, and I got to do something really positive for those guys. And I knew it was a big risk fighting the southpaw knockout artist, one that I didn't prepare for, but I took that for them, and we won that fight. And yeah, now it's time for me to go and relax with my friends and family. I will see you guys. God bless you all. Thank you for being here.
Good night, everybody.